On the March 8th, 2025, UFC 313 will deliver one of the most explosive fight cards of the year, headlined by the long-awaited clash between Alex Pereira and Magomed Ankalaev. But before these two titans step into the octagon, the co-main event will feature a battle that promises to be an all-out war. Justin the Highlight Gaethje versus Dan the Hangman Hooker.
That's it! The Hangman does it again! And Jim Miller is out! Box towards that. Big right from Gaethje!
These two lightweight warriors are the living embodiment of the phrase, kill or be killed. Both have carved their names into the history books with their relentless, fan-friendly styles, leaving pieces of themselves and their opponents in the cage every time they fight. Whether it ends in a knockout or goes the distance, one thing is certain: this fight will be an unforgettable spectacle. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Here we go! Let's start from the highlight.
Justin Gaethje is a monster. He's a monster. He's a terrifying individual. In a sport that's violent, inherently violent sport, he stands out as the most violent.
Born in Safford, Arizona, Justin Gaethje was bred for combat from an early age. The son of a copper miner and of Mexican and German descent, Gaethje's toughness was ingrained in him long before he ever stepped foot inside a cage. Wrestling was his first love, and he excelled at it, becoming an NCAA Division I All-American for the University of Northern Colorado. But deep inside, the American knew he was meant for something more chaotic, something that allowed him to express his love for violence in its purest form.
I had 5 amateur fights. I had never been in a street fight, a one-on-one street fight, a couple big brawls. Never thrown a punch, never been punched. And I got hit hard in my 5th fight, almost got knocked out. I was like, man, I need to find, if I'm gonna do this, I need to find a coach.
So you had 5 amateur MMA fights with 0 striking training.
0. So right after wrestling was over, I would just be like, I want to fight. And then I was in the best shape of my life after wrestling season.
Right.
So yeah, I was a machine still, but I just had no skills. It was go out there and wrestle, take them down, slams. I was, I got my nickname, The Highlight, before I ever knew how to strike, and that was from tossing people.
That realization led him to mixed martial arts, and once he stepped into the cage, it was clear this man wasn't just a fighter, he was a storm. The force of natural chaos unlike any other. The Highlights' rise to prominence came through the now-defunct local league called World Series of Fighting, where he became the promotion's lightweight champion and defended his title 5 times in a series of jaw-dropping performances.
Gaethje with the right, and he's down, and he's out, and it's over, and Gaethje is Gaethje cuts down. Oh, he's down! He's down! This one is over!
Undefeated, unstoppable, and carrying a reputation as the most exciting fighter outside the UFC, Justin finally made his long-awaited debut in the biggest promotion in the world in 2017.
I do my talking in the cage. That's all I care about. I'm preparing right now, and I'm a violent motherfucker. I'm the most violent lightweight on this planet.
And in true Gaethje fashion, he announced his arrival by engaging in an all-out war with Michael Johnson, rallying back from adversity to score a brutal TKO victory in the 2nd round. From that moment, it was clear the American was a different breed. However, that victory was immediately followed by 2 brutal defeats that snapped his 18-fight unbeaten streak. The first loss came at the hands of the former lightweight champ Eddie Alvarez, who dragged him through 3 rounds of pure hell before sending him to the land of sweet dreams with a vicious knee. Watching all this from my couch, I'd say that it was the moment when Justin needed to reconsider his reckless approach to fighting, but the Highlight wasn't fazed in the slightest. His next bout against another veteran, Dustin Poirier, played out in almost the exact same way, but this time, the Diamond sealed the deal with a 4th-round TKO, totally outclassing the newcomer at every possible aspect of the fight game. But even such a devastating loss couldn't shake the warrior spirit of the American, and in the end, that mentality surprisingly paid off. The highlight managed to bounce back in spectacular fashion, snapping his losing streak and amassing a 3-fight knockout streak.
Fox Sports Act. Big right from Gaethje. It's over. That is it. Some down. It's over. Justin Gaethje by first round knockout.
Not without a bit of luck, he stepped in on a short notice to replace Khabib Nurmagomedov to face Tony Ferguson at UFC 249 for the interim lightweight title. I'd rather not dwell too much on this grim chapter, because in the grand scheme of things, it was Justin who became the catalyst for the record-breaking losing streak in UFC history, one set not by just anyone, but by the man who was once the most feared fighter in the lightweight division, El Cucuy. It'd be enough to say that the fight turned out as a systematic dismantling of one of the most durable fighters in MMA history. Gaethje didn't just win, he shattered Ferguson's legendary aura, delivering such a vicious beating that it marked the beginning of Tony's downward spiral. That night, the highlight became the interim champion, but the fate had the other plans for that madman. At UFC 254, he faced the Eagle in what would be the undefeated Dagestani's farewell fight.
He hasn't wrestled or fought somebody that has wrestled or grappled as long as he has. That is me. I have. Everyone says, they're ready. I will not allow him to put me on the fence. And if I do, then I'm screwed. So my game plan is if he wants to grapple, let's grapple in the middle. And I've said it 1,000 times, I cause damage.
The American had his moments, but Khabib's suffocating wrestling skills happened to be too much for Justin, and he succumbed to a triangle choke in the second round.
That, I'm not scared to get choked out. Getting knocked out does suck because there is, consequences health-wise to that. Getting choked out is, you get a nice little dream, and then it's on to the next one. So, it sucks. I'm hurt. It's emotional. But ultimately, it's the name of the game, man. And
undeterred, Gaethje returned with a vengeance, engaging in one of the most spectacular and violent fights in UFC history against Michael Chandler at UFC 268.
Uppercut causes the knockdown. Chandler covers up. Justin Gaethje.
That bloodbath earned him another title shot, but once again, he were forced to surrender, this time by Charles Oliveira.
All my criticism of Charles is from a kid that we were talking about, that we all watched grow, and now we're talking about a man with confidence. It's a different person, but ultimately, the same Charles is still there. Choices were made in that by him, and the choice to quit was made, and I'm going to give him that choice on Saturday night. I guarantee that.
Through half a round, Gaethje back to work on the leg kick, landing the right hand. Big knockdown with the right from Oliveira. Now trying to transition to the back. He's going to go to sleep. That is going to do it.
And then something has changed. The wild and reckless Justin finally sharpened his mind. Still being a warrior, he now transformed to strategist. The new version of the highlight picked apart Rafael Fiziev in a calculated yet brutal performance. What followed was a devastating head kick knockout of the Diamond himself, claiming the BMF title and proving he was more than just chaos. Yet instead of another title shot, Justin did what only truly fearless would do. He bet it all against Max Holloway at UFC 300. You all know the result. One of the most iconic moments in MMA history, just not in Gaethje's favor. As he put it, sometimes you create highlights, sometimes you become them. That's the part of the game. Now it's time to talk about the second culprit of this grand spectacle.
How you like me now? How you like me now? Woo! Hey, grapple my nuts. Ah!
Hailing from Auckland, New Zealand, Dan Hooker has been a fixture of the lightweight division for years, known for his relentless pace, striking versatility, and an iron will that refuses to break.
This sport saved me. This sport gave my aggression a direction, and I could channel it into this is the most constructive thing you could possibly do with your aggression.
Hooker is cut from the same cloth as Gaethje, a warrior who fights not for points, but for blood and glory.
He's taking some damage too, hasn't he? The tie clinch and the big... I've lost a fight by cuts.
He's looking for a reverse triangle now. He's looking for that triangle. He's got it on, and that's it.
A longtime member of the famed city kickboxing gym, alongside Israel Adesanya and Alexander Volkanovski, the Hangman has always been known as one of the toughest, psychotic, and most battle-hardened fighters in the sport.
I love this shit. Let's go.
Dan's UFC career has been a roller coaster of triumph and heartbreak. Early in his career, he struggled to find consistency, bouncing between featherweight and lightweight.
I have to earn my way back into the rankings, and that's something I understand, and that's something that I would like to do is give me a bum. Nah, I'm joking.
But once he found his true home at 155 pounds, he transformed into one of the most dangerous strikers in the division.
Knockout victory. The Hangman.
His wars with Paul Felder and Ali Aquinta solidified his reputation as an unbreakable warrior. But as his career soared, so did his ambition, and it nearly destroyed him.
Dustin, Poirier, I'm gonna smash your face in. Meet me in New Zealand, 2020, and I'm gonna end you.
After defeating Paul Felder in an absolute war, Hooker called out Dustin Poirier, eager to test himself against one of the division's best, who was coming off of his first title loss against the Eagle and were looking for the redemption.
Probably I'm going to look to strike and pick him apart on the feet, and I don't think that is a secret to anybody.
What followed was a brutal 5-round bloodbath, where Hooker came within inches of finishing the diamond.
Hooker goes to the body. Nice takedown.
That gave him a lifeline, but those body shots.
Digs into the body and now Poirier with a counter.
Oh my gosh! Look at this!
Oh my God! Poirier in real trouble.
Only to be outlasted by the former interim champ.
You gonna smash my face? You gonna fight Gaethje tonight? You fight me? Hey, you're on the right track. Keep working, all right? Hey, look at this. Keep working, all right? You're ready for a round 6.
That loss was just the beginning of a dark chapter. The Hangman then faced the newcomer in the face of explosive Michael Chandler, only to be brutally knocked out in the first round.
Dan's hurt. Hooker covering up.
It's over.
Michael Chandler maximizing the debut and sticks the landing.
A brief rebound win over Nasrat Haqparast was quickly overshadowed by 2 crushing losses. One to Islam Makhachev, who submitted him with ease, and another to Arnold Allen, who put him away in devastating fashion. For most fighters, this would be the end. But the New Zealander isn't most fighters. Instead of breaking, he reinvented himself. Having a tattoo-free body, Hooker suddenly covered himself with ink, dyed his hair in silver, and became even more hungry for violence. This version of the Hangman embraced the chaos like never before, and it showed. He returned to face Jalen Turner, a towering, dangerous striker who nearly finished him with a brutal head kick early in the fight, but the New Zealander refused to go down, weathered the storm, and secured a gritty decision victory.
I want my hair pink. I wanted it pink from the fight, and I got it, so tough times don't last, Dan Hooker does.
Then came Mateusz Gamrot, a suffocating but boring wrestler who always works for points in wrestling and expected by many to smother Hooker. Instead, the Hangman surprisingly dragged him into the deep waters, stuffed his takedowns, dropped him twice, and turned the fight into a savage war. And once again, he emerged victorious. And now, at UFC 313, he faces a man who mirrors his own philosophy, a fighter who thrives in the fire, who refuses to break, and who is willing to sacrifice everything for the victory.
Well, I actually found out about it on Justin Gaethje's YouTube, which was Gaethje a few weeks ago, probably like 2-3 weeks ago, was like, yeah, fighting Dan Hooker March 8th. And I was like, everyone was sending me his, like the clip of his YouTube. And I was like, oh, that's cool. At the end of the day, I want what he has. I want the perks that come with everything. I want to see cage side. I want to find out about fights before the other guy. Like that's a position that he's earned the hard way. And so I want what he has.
This is still about not getting the tickets for UFC 300, right? That's what this is all about.
I respect him for taking this fight. It's a dangerous fight. I feel like there's a lot of more low-risk fights or potentially less dangerous fights, I guess.
Any particular reason why it's 5 rounds?
I just think the UFC wants to see someone die. I think they want to finish as well. I feel like for the fans as well, they want to see this. They want to see someone go down. They want to see blood. They want to see round 4 and 5.
What do you think about this fight? To me, it gives off the same vibe as the second war between Lawler and McDonald. The mentality of these two fighters is built in such a way that if one of them doesn't put the other to sleep first, they'll keep fighting until the last drop of blood without a second thought about the consequences, just like it happened in that legendary Battle of Wills. And from an entertainment standpoint, that's undeniably incredible. But to be honest, I don't want to see their careers take the same inevitable downward spiral that eventually caught up to both McDonald and Lawler. Or worse, the path of Tony Ferguson, who was sent down that road by none other than Gaethje himself. Honestly, it's impossible to root for one over the other, because both of these guys are willing to leave every ounce of themselves in that cage, and they absolutely will. And really, breaking this fight down from a technical standpoint feels pointless when two all-out brawlers of this caliber are about to collide. Both have the arsenal to impose their will, and I'd say this is as pure of a 50-50th fight as we've ever seen in MMA. But truth be told, I just hope it ends in a TKO rather than something even more brutal, so that both guys can walk away taking as little damage as possible while still delivering an unforgettable war. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to discuss this one with you. Looking to level up your skills and connect with like-minded individuals? Check out Skool, the ultimate platform to join diverse communities tailored to your passions. Whether you're into digital marketing, business, tech, or design, Skool gives you access to experts, exclusive content, and endless opportunities to grow.